Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a really quick video here, video entry into Ron Haggerty's, I think it's just called like his vinyl community contest. But simply put, he wanted us to just show five of our favorite punk albums. So I wanted to do a quick video for that. There's a couple other contests I want to make sure I get on board this week, so I'm going to be doing a couple videos, and then I also need to do a thank you video to Billy Crayoni and Logan, who both sent me some VCLT that I haven't had an opportunity to thank them for. And I'm probably going to do a recent finds video this weekend, so I'm going to make sure to give them a big shout out and thanks and share with you guys the awesome generosity and what they shared with me. Some really cool items, which will be awesome. So today I'm going to focus on Ron Haggerty and his five um, five favorite punk albums. So let's just kind of dive right into it. I'll start with what could be right there at the very top of my list, which is the Ramones' Animal Boy. Kind of going into the mid to late 80s stuff, which I mean, I think overall maybe it's not as popular for the Ramones as opposed to more of the earlier stuff. But this is probably definitely my favorite album by them. Again, from 1986. And the thing I love about this album is that it shows the diversity of what the Ramones could do, and just in terms of, uh, well, just in terms of performing and the songs they do. You know, like starting off, you have songs like "Somebody Put Something in My Drink," which is kind of just like a very loud, big, almost what you'd expect like a 80s alternative type of song from the mid to late 80s, but of course with that Ramones touch to it. Um, then you go to songs like Animal Boy, Love Kills, which is just your traditional right in your face punk type of stuff, exactly what you would expect from the Ramones at CBGB's, just kind of raw out there right in front of you. Um, and then from those two songs, you'll go right into a song like She Belongs to Me, which you would swear was stolen from Don Henley. And like they even perform it in a ballady kind of way where, End of the Innocence and Last Worthless Evening by Don Henley would fit right into She Belongs to Me. So just, out of the blue, they go there. Then you flip it over to side two, and you have songs like My Brain is Hanging Upside Down, which is probably one of my top three favorite Ramon songs. And that song just freaking kicks in from the first few beats and just takes you for a ride. And I love the energy of that song, and I also love the way that Joey delivers the in the chorus when he says "ooh yeah" before he goes into "My brain is hanging upside down." The way he sings "ooh yeah," just for me personally, is what made his voice just absolutely amazing and made his style amazing. Like those two words just sum up what I think about when I think about him being the lead vocalist for the Ramones. So "My Brain is Hanging Upside Down" is awesome. And then I'm hoping I'm getting these tracks confused here, but I think it's Mental Hell, I believe, which again, you listen to it and you swear that's a Danzig song. Like they're covering a Danzig song in the way that Danzig would do it. And it's just kind of just a rhythmic, I mean, just, Danzig, plain and simple. And so it's like I said, and actually, before I even finish that up, you go to the very last song on side two, "Something to Believe," and you swear, was that a Journey song? Like, were they just covering a Kansas song or a Journey or you know, a Night Ranger song? And you swear it was, but they just did everything on this freaking album, which is why it's arguably it's kind of my favorite. So a very, very great album there. Definitely right at the top of my list. Next, I'm going to go with Stiff Little Fingers, Inflammable Material. A lot of you might know this album. I actually discovered this album, I should say, from the movie High Fidelity. If you remember the scene where they're in the record shop and he's kind of talking with the girl, and he said, Green Day was actually influenced by two bands. He says The Clash, and then this other band called the Stiff Little Fingers. Then he puts on the song Suspect Device and, throws that on. And that's when I first discovered him. But yeah, and again, another really, really good album. My favorite two songs off of here is definitely Suspect Device and probably Johnny Was. Probably my two favorite songs. Again, a pretty accessible punk album, I think. And I always use that word, like Billy Hirsch and I, we use that word a lot when we're talking about different albums, and just kind of meaning for someone who like is maybe not really into kind of punk or hardcore punk, or maybe someone who's not really into thrash metal, something like that. There are some albums that are like, here's one that could probably, get someone to take a few extra steps towards that genre because it's more accessible, whether it's melody driven or kind of whatever. Um, like Slayer, for example. I'm kind of getting off track here, but you know how Slayer can be, right? And all their great albums. But if you go to albums like South of Heaven, it's a little more rhythmic, a little more, I think that's a more accessible album than maybe Rain and Blood for someone who's not really into thrash metal. But anyway, I'm kind of saying that to say kind of the same thing about the Stiff Little Fingers here, because the vocals are very scratchy and kind of rough and kind of hard and in your face. But most of the guitars and everything in it are very, what's almost like a modern day alternative hipster kind of band that's trying to be a little more edgy. Like really a lot of the guitars are really more on that feel. So the vocals are further towards the punk side than the actual m- music, if you will. But don't get me wrong. I mean, it's still good in your face stuff, but just again, giving you a little more my feel from it. But another very, very nice album there. So that'd be my second pick. Third pick is my boys, always will be, Bad Brains. This is Bad Brains Live. It's almost rare that I talk about any or answer any punk questions and not bring up this band or this album in some way. Just fantastic musicians, fantastic lovers of music, creators of music. You really can't put these guys into a category, even though they probably have their most legendary reputation based around hardcore. I mean, these are guys you could say, hey, we need you to do a 45-minute set of nothing but just, hardcore and just trying to break these walls down. They'll do it just like that, and it'll be perfect. And then you can come back the next day and say, we need a 45-minute hard set of this is a reggae audience night. All we want is reggae. You know, they can do 45 minutes of that, and it'll be some of the best reggae music you ever heard. Okay, tonight we need something that has a little more of a metal feel. So not really the hardcore thing, not really the reggae thing. No problem. They can knock that out too. Just a fantastic band in that regard. And you get a lot of that on this album too. My absolute favorite song by them is Reignition, especially the live version. Because the live version, it's a little bit faster than the studio album version, which the studio album version brings a little more of the reggae feel into it. The slightly faster version on the live album is almost more of a hip hop vibe to it. I mean, it's just again just some of my favorite stuff. Um, and then again, you have songs like I and I Survive, which you listen to that, you swear you just threw on a Bob Marley and the Wailers type of album. And Sacred Love, that's kind of a funky reggae rhythmic rock type of thing. Just a bad band. Those boys are bad. But again, my initial suggestion is the live version of Reignition. That's my favorite. But fantastic album there. This one here, somewhat of a give me, just in terms of I think most people in the VC will be pretty familiar with this, so not a reason to go into a ton of whatever. But but yeah, I mean, never mind the bollocks by Sex Pistols. I think it's fantastic. Uh, just one of those albums that, again, we talk about the accessible nature, just really follows a great pattern there because it is true in your face punk, but just does have this nice smooth place where most people can jump on board and really kind of get into them pretty easy. And the two biggest songs off of here, of course, were Anarchy in the UK and God Save the Queen. And God Save the Queen is probably still my favorite song. As much as it is probably the biggest cliche of songs with Sex Pistols compared to all their other stuff. It's definitely still my favorite song. Again, the vocal delivery on that, the yeah, I mean, just the guitar delivery, if you will, um, slow enough to catch in, energetic enough to keep you on the punk ride. It's just it's perfection, which is why it's the legendary album that it is. All right, so that's four. So my fifth album, for just kind of another great punk album, is Zero Boys, and this is Vicious Circle, and this is from 1982. Again, fantastic album. Pros and not pros and cons, but just kind of what I like about this album. You definitely have the energy. This is almost the opposite of the Stiff Little Fingers, what I was just talking about. Where on the Stiff Little Fingers, you had the really kind of rough throat, harsh vocals, and a little more accessible on the music side. And this one's kind of the opposite, where the music gives you a little more kind of in your face punk feel, but the vocals are a little bit, I'm not going to say they're a little bit easier because they're still in your face, but here you actually have the vocals being performed to the point to where you can understand the lyrics. Like you don't have to necessarily go to look at the lyric sheet to find out one single thing they're saying. You might miss some stuff here and there, but for the most part, you can understand the lyrics. He's pronunciating enough where you can understand the lyrics on this. So it's kind of just the flip. But yeah, again, just a very, very solid, punk album. Definitely another one I think if you're starting off a punk collection, a good one to dive into. So there you go, man. Those are my five quick picks there for favorite punk albums. So again, VC, thanks for watching as always, and we will talk to you soon. All right, take care, guys.